Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. No Umar today, yo.
It just
Umar caught
ends.
the vid, bro. He caught the vid.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so unfortunately the homie's at home sick and pretty much is out of commission. Headache, flu, all of that. So I think he's gonna pop in occasionally and just kind of write in the comments. So for those of you guys who are gonna miss him visually, you can at least see his comments in the chat. So chop it up with him there. But for now, it's just gonna be us two. So hopefully that's enough for today.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So first and foremost, how are you doing, bro? I know you just you just got your move on, so you're in a new place. So how was that?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't tell by the look of the difference in the background,
Yeah.
and talking about moving with this, like, but I mean, I'm setting up a new studio, still trying to get everything, put together here. I'm excited to actually have walls this time. The last place was just curtains.
Curtains,
so,
yeah.
So now I have the ability for actually putting things like this on the wall into the Spider-Verse. But I definitely couldn't do that before because I mean I could, but I hate hanging things when you don't have walls. It's like then you gotta do the museum style thing. I don't want to do all that work. It's too much work.
Yeah.
But no, we're feeling good. And yourself, we haven't seen each other for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, you weren't here last week, so we had to do the show without you, which was weird. It was different. It seems like we're kind of dropping like flies, man. Before it was me, and then it was you. Now it's Umar.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm good. Skin glowing, energy flowing, so I'm good, man.
Love it.
I'm good.
Love it. I guess that means I'm the one dropping what the topics are today.
Well, no, I got some stuff that we can cover. So I'll throw it to myself and we will set shit up. So I don't know if you heard about this, but I don't know what the CW is really doing. And that's, I guess, nothing new. That's not a new phrase to really say when it comes to the CW, because have you heard about this? They're planning on doing a new Gotham Knights show. And the basic premise is that it's going to center around Batman's adopted son. And it's not Damian. It's not Dick. It's not any of them. It's just some random dude named Turner Hayes. And he's apparently being framed for the murder of Batman. And he has to team up with Batman's the children of Batman's villains. So this girl in the green, guess who her father is?
Joker.
Yeah. So basically, they got to team up and try to first clear their name, and then try to figure out who actually killed the Cape Crusader.
So I heard the words Gotham Knights. I knew nothing about it other than what you just said. I'm going to make a reference for those in the audience. Hopefully you're as old as I am, so you know this reference. You ever seen back in the day on YouTube Spill reviews?
Yeah.
They had their rating system between the best kind of movie ever was better than sex.
Yeah.
And the lowest was some old bullshit.
Yeah.
And there was one time where what's the movie that one of the vampire series
Twilight?
Twilight. One of them was so bad they said it dropped below some old bullshit, went down to a pure fuck you, and then bounced back up. This whole premise is that.
Yeah, I have to agree with this one, man. I don't know. Because didn't they get a new CEO for CW? And because I know the new guy who came on board basically made a statement saying that he was going to do like a complete revamping of CW and getting rid of like all the extra bullshit. So they canceled Batwoman. They canceled what was that show? The Archie show. Riverdale. They canceled Riverdale, and they canceled a couple of other shows. I think the 4400 was on the chopping block as well. I think Umar likes that show. I kind of checked out after first season, but yeah, like with all of the chopping block that was happening with those shows, which I didn't think was gonna last as long as they did. I thought that they were gonna start making room for better properties because they're going really strong with the Superman TV series right now that they currently have. But to come out with this bullshit, I just don't. I feel like they would have learned their lesson from Gotham. I know Gotham's not a CW show, I don't think, but I just don't understand why they can't get these Batman properties right.
Was that the CEO of CW or the change of Discovery buying out Warner Brothers that you were referring to? Because I missed the whole announcement of CW changing their CEO.
I'm not 100% sure. I do know that CW, maybe I think maybe it was something about, regarding CW being bought out. But I know that there was a new guy running the helm, and he was basically going to be doing a complete resurgence of CW and making like better, apparently trying to make better shows, and that's why he was kind of going to get rid of some of these shows that are out right now to make room for better ones. But this doesn't sound like they're going in the right direction.
So Umar's dropping in the comments saying he thinks I think you're referencing the Discovery thing because Discovery bought
Mhm,
out, like Discovery owns like TLC, HGTV, all these kinds of things, right?
mhm.
And they bought out like Warner Brothers, which has the relationship to CW.
Right.
But yeah, I wonder if Gotham Knights is just like too far along. Like, I don't know, you can cancel the show before it drops, but maybe
Well,
there's like a financial thing that they're like, we have like or a contractual thing that
mhm.
like CW, because they make the stuff, but then I think that they also like syndicate it out to all these different networks. So maybe they have a contractual thing like, we've told these networks that we're providing them this product. We can't not give them the product that we paid for, or we have to pay them more money in cash. And so
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, let's give them the product.
yeah, but the thing is, because apparently they were planning on doing a Wonder Twins show as well, and they had actually gone ahead and made the announcement and casted. So the guy who plays Archie in Riverdale was supposed to be one of the twins, and then some other girl. But now that's since since it's been announced, it's been canceled ever since this new Discovery thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering why they went ahead and greenlit this.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea other than like other than a contract forcing their hand, I would definitely be like, yeah, I can't. This whole
Yeah, but
concept is BS.
they're just losing money at this point. I mean, I know the game is coming out and the game looks amazing. So
The game? What's the game?
yeah, of the same name, Gotham Knights. It's coming out. It's I think it's along the same
Oh,
premise. It's along the same premise where I think either Batman dies or he disappears, and then basically it's Damian Wayne, Batgirl, I think Batwoman, Jason Todd as Red Hood, and I believe Dick Grayson. They all team up to become like Gotham Defenders, and I guess try to figure out what happened to Batman.
I bet you that's it. Like when I'm saying like a contractual obligation, the video game company they probably have an obligation to the video game company that the show comes out if they are at all tied together.
Yeah.
And to take it out would be like, well, then the video game company would sue you for like breaking the contract that you decided to go with them. Because yeah, this sounds like a dumbass thing, but like the game obviously is a whole different world, and
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
just
mean,
want CW to get they they need to basically like kill the whole thing and by all means like rebrand it and turn it into something else, right? Like, there's
yeah.
obviously a whole set of people that work there and resources and all that stuff. So I'm not saying like they shouldn't ever do like superhero stuff, but I think they
Mhm.
should do superhero stuff, but like just rebrand it and set up all new stuff because CW's had a long run of being straight trash.
Yeah, I think they contractually have like some sort of liability or some kind of clause in their contracts that states that they aren't allowed to use Batman in their TV shows because they've been trying to get Batman either his own TV show or in a TV show for a long time as a long-standing character. Like I know they were trying to do that in Smallville, and because they couldn't get the rights to Bruce Wayne, they'd make references to like a billionaire playboy, but they never once mentioned Bruce Wayne. And instead of introducing Bruce Wayne, they decided to go with Green Arrow, and Green Arrow kind of became the Batman of Smallville. So yeah, I think they're really just trying to save Batman for the movies, which I mean, I guess it makes sense in a way because it's like right now we don't have a movie version of Superman, right? Because Henry Cavill is not really doing anything. They haven't I don't think there's any plans to make a Man of Steel 2. So with that being said, Superman lives on TV. Whereas now we have the Batman with Robert Pattinson in movie format, but no TV version.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
ever since Smallville has been around, I think Batman has been very prominent in the movies. Like we had Batman Begins, the Nolan trilogy, and then we had what's it called, Zack Snyder's version of Batman, and then now the Batman. So yeah, I don't know why there seems to be that clause where like they won't allow Batman to live on TV, but yeah, it's just weird, it's strange.
Maybe because they know they're gonna screw it up as badly as they've screwed everything else up, so they don't want to do that.
But I mean, I mean, they've tried everything else but that. You would think that they would just like what, nothing else is working. Let's just give Batman on TV a shot because
You
they
know,
haven't done it yet.
they have made way more mention of Batman in Batgirl. Um, like Bruce Wayne was talked about, a character played Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne,
fair.
defaced, like, or fake clone version, whatever you want to call it. And then there was like a whole lot of like Batman stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
did we get a full Batman? No. And
No.
the most real Batman that we got, Titans.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm sorry, that's not my Batman, yo. That's
Nope.
Alfred with amnesia thinking he's Batman. I'm sorry, that's not Batman at all for me, man.
Alfred stand-in Batman.
Yeah, yeah. There's no way that guy is Batman, bro. There's no
Yo,
way.
if they, like, honestly, if they like, I wish that like the first episode they aired him as Batman, and like I don't know, like Dick didn't see him without the costume or something, and then the second episode, like, Alfred, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like after they get the first reactions, where it's like, no, no one likes this. Second episode, Alfred, just
Yeah.
like
Just stop.
turn the gears.
Yeah. No, it's facts, man. But honestly, like if I feel like if they can't if it's something to do with contractual obligations where they can't have an actual Bruce Wayne slash Batman in a TV series, actually then that wouldn't work either. Because I was gonna say the next best thing, I would want them to do a Batman Beyond series. I mean, that's what I'm really waiting for, like a live action Batman Beyond series. But
I got no faith. I got no faith until I start seeing something else. Like,
the thing is, I don't want it on CW though. But I don't know where
oh
else you
yeah,
would put it. You know what I mean? Because CW seems to be hosting a lot of these superhero shows. I don't know any other network that
HBO,
HBO. What are they currently?
because
Oh,
Warner Brothers and HBO are together,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. That's right. That's right. Because Peacemaker is HBO, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah, I personally want there to be like in HBO Max like a DC division, right?
yeah,
Because HBO is so like more progressive in like storytelling, right?
yeah, yeah.
And not going to be like as afraid to be dark or to be
Hmm.
like raunchy or whatever it is requires for the property. They're not going to
Yeah.
be holding these reins into the small thing. And personally, like there's like two ways to kind of approach it at this point because they've already established one and whether we want to do this, which is I have a question for you. Would you
Hmm.
prefer that? I mean, they've already kind of gone this road, and this is, but would you prefer that they do a shared universe like Marvel's
Hmm.
doing, their own, like not fucked up, but
Yeah.
their own shared universe between
Yeah.
the show, between the HBO Max and the movies, or
Hmm.
would you prefer two separate things happening at the same time?
That's a really good question. A part of me wants a shared universe, but then I feel like Marvel kind of tried to do that already, and then they shot themselves in the foot with Agents of Shield, where they were trying to follow a formula that ties into the movies, but somewhere along the way they got lost and they were kind of limited in what they could do because they were confined to whatever the movies were doing. So in a way it kind of eliminates free range for them to kind of take the stories into other unique directions, right? Whereas if you do something that is its own self-contained type of property, then you can kind of like flesh out your own storyline and then create your own universe within the TV format, where it's like you can start to have crossovers, not necessarily in the movies, but crossovers within other shows. So like Peacemaker could show up in another show, not to say that he would in a Batman TV series per se, but like kind of do a crossover similar to how the CW does it, obviously, but with better writing, and it has to make sense, right? So I don't know if it necessarily has to connect. I feel like I'd want the movies to kind of focus. We need a plan in regards to the movies, because Marvel had a plan, a 10-year, 20-year, however long the MCU has been running for. They need a plan for a certain amount of time and how they're going to flesh all of these things out, but have everything be focused on individual movies that eventually build up to something. So you're always alluding to something. So even if you want to do a carbon copy and like have what they're building up to be Dark Side, for example, like how they did with Thanos, where Thanos was introduced in the first Avengers movie, you have something like a Justice League where like you see Dark Side, but like you don't get to actually, you know, they don't get to face off against him until like midway or at the end of the 10-year stint that you're building up to. I don't know. I don't know if that's too on the nose.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, because like part of me, I like the interconnected stuff, and by all means, like Marvel's done a good job recently with the interconnected universe.
Yeah. Fair.
But however, DC screwed up enough stuff so far. I feel like we should just have independent things. Like I feel like there
Yeah.
should be an interconnected universe and other properties that happen at the same time with DC, as in whatever they're doing that Peacemaker is connected to, if they continue with characters in that like existing thing that they've already created and they just find a way to like flesh it out, or they just keep it separate and it just never happens. And because like Matt Reeves of Batman, I want more of that, and that has no place interconnecting with everything else. Like it just, if you try to interconnect that into like Henry Cavill's universe, like holy, that's gonna be bad. Like it's just not gonna like gel well. And like it can do things like I don't mind seeing like if that Matt Reeves wanted to be so adventurous to have his version of a Superman in his universe, in his rules. Okay, that could be really, really interesting if he comes up with something amazing. But I don't want it to be the other stuff, right? Like, it's like do your own thing, find your own way. So I'm kind of more of the mindset staying away from in the interconnected universe, or at least allowing for, how do I put it? I don't want to use a multiverse because I don't know. I feel like that's too much of a cop out right now since it's so popular of a term. But I just want the idea to be like you can have like this version and this other version happening at the same time, and there could be interconnected properties on this, little universe, but it's not like it has to be everything. So, and I think Umar over here has a similar thoughts as well to what we're saying here. Umar's throwing out a comment. Honestly, not every property needs to be a cinematic universe. That's the problem. Everyone is trying to be like the MCU. Stop, is as he put it. And interconnected universe isn't always a good thing. And I felt that stop because you know how Umar is. He getting too passionate. he's probably over there just like chugging back some Buckleys and getting mad.
Fair, yeah. No, whoops. No, I mean I agree with that. I mean it doesn't necessarily have to be a cinematic universe. It can kind of be its own standalone thing. And I kind of like the direction that they're going right now, where it's like you start off with Suicide Squad, and then Peacemaker kind of branched off and had his own series, and that did really surprisingly really well. And I think if you can do that, and I mean they're doing that again with the Batman, and then now they're doing a Penguin spinoff, right? Which I'm not over here anticipating it with like extreme excitement, but I'll check it out, and I might be surprised, especially if Matt Reeves is attached to it. I appreciated his work and what he's been doing so far, so I feel like it could be good. And if they continue kind of doing it in that route and not necessarily fixating on it being a cinematic where you're building up to something, although I mean I wouldn't mind seeing that, like a build up, because it kind of just adds to the anticipation, because like for years we've been waiting for Thanos to finally show up, and man, did that deliver. So I just feel like, because I was disappointed with the whole Justice League thing, because Justice League is a much more, and I mean I say this subjectively, but it is a much more well-known property than the Avengers are, and yet Avengers blew Justice League out of the water. Like Justice League should have been $1 billion film. It had the trifecta, the heavy hitters, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman, and yet it tanked.
Yeah, like it's funny how like I grew up like Justice League, Avengers, like it's like background thought, and now I feel like the Avengers, a single powerful word, and Justice League feels like a weak two phrases.
Yeah.
I had a random thought while you were talking that I'm like, this is potentially interesting. What if DC focused on building universes around a single character? What I mean is, so the Batman, you're talking about like not being excited for the Penguin, and for me, my thought was like, okay, yeah, I see where your head's at, and me, I'm just kind of like, I want anything in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, so I'll gobble it up. I'm not necessarily excited for the Penguin, but I know once it comes out, I'm gobbling it up, right? I want to check it out, and so for me, I'm like, oh, everything that revolves around the Batman Matt Reeves universe, I'm in. What if they had, and I keep using Superman just because he's like the next most prominent character in the universe, in all of DC. But it's like, okay, what if there was a Superman like universe where it's either a Superman show or a Superman movie, and then there are spin-offs that come from that are characters specific to that universe, and maybe there are some other big characters that make plausible sense to be in that little universe, but it's not necessarily a Justice League. It's just like Superman and this other character that makes sense, and then maybe there's another like Wonder Woman level like thing, and they're all separate, but they're all their own like little universe, their own tones, their own things. Like I don't know, I'm kind of interested in that idea, because I like the idea of like Matt Reeves telling his tonal thing, and we get to experience that, and somebody else comes with a very different tone for a Superman universe, and we just get to enjoy that, and they're very different, but they're like we're just enjoying these little things and the spin-offs that come from them. I don't know how you feel about that.
Now, in terms of these characters, are you referring to the villains, or are these like kind of like random characters that are set in the same kind of universe as the heroes?
I feel like it could be whatever's applicable to that universe, right? Like the Batman, obviously he can bring in like a Robin and a Nightwing, and they could have a spin-off, or they could have like their own movie or whatever, but it's all like under Matt Reeves, so to speak, right? It's all under that tone of like, what is the Matt Reeves thing, right? And you could have over on the other side, you have oh my god, who did the Peacemaker and Suicide Squad? Oh my gosh,
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn, and he has his tonally small little universe, all right, of whatever he's making, and whatever characters make sense in his little universe that he makes. They're completely separate. They could have the same character. He could have a Batman in his universe, and it could be a Batman in another universe. But regardless, it's just about like, what are the stories that they want to tell, and they're building up things around that. And I just meant like, you have a whole third director, I'm going to randomly choose somebody, but like John Watts wants to do Superman. He's a big Superman fan. So he goes, I want to make a Superman movie. And then they make the movie and they have like a really cool, like either side character or like, I don't know. I'm just going to randomly say something here, but they have like Jimmy Olsen and they make him so interesting that we want a spin-off show of Jimmy Olsen, right? And seeing what it's like to be in Superman's universe from a human's perspective, right? And you get a little show off of that. And it's like a fun, totally different tonally thing. I'm just, this idea of saying like, instead of focusing on bringing them all together, make universes around individual ones and allow for the use of multiple medias to create the universe. This is just where my head just kind of went while you were talking before.
I mean, I'd be open to it, but as you were talking, it kind of reminded me of, there was a show that came out like a couple years back. It was with I think it's the guy. I know you're a big fan of what's the DC show that Brandon Fraser is on, and he plays a robot. Doom Patrol.
Oh, Doom Patrol. So good.
Yeah. So the villain in that was the star of the show that I'm talking about, and it also had Vanessa Hudgens. And basically, the premise of the show is the villain from Doom Patrol, that actor, I forget his name. He basically plays, I think, Bruce Wayne's cousin. And it's from the perspective of of the civilians of Gotham City and what it's like to live in a world where, you know, superheroes exist, and like how do they cope in that kind of environment. But it came off very like campy. They made it in a very comical kind of direction, and I think it only lasted like one season. So I mean, as long as you can kind of tell those kind of stories in a way where the tone is taken a little bit more seriously. Like I don't want to see like any comedy bullshit like that, right? I want to see some, like, if you're going to talk about Jimmy Olsen, then give me like a really rich, in-depth story. But then again, I think about, because they did the Pennyworth TV series, and I was like,
I never saw any of that.
I never saw it either. I was like, I'm not feeling this, and I haven't even watched it yet, and it didn't last long. So
but by all means, my Jimmy Olsen thing was literally the first thing that came to mind. Not necessarily a good idea.
Yeah, fair. But now it's like, it's hard for me to think, because like Jimmy Olsen is originally like some like a geek.
Oh yeah. And I'm not saying it would be like, I don't know why. It's like, I just, in my head I was thinking of like a fun, like, I don't know why I was just thinking of that, but like fun comical perspective where he keeps interacting with the Superman from the movie, things, but then he goes off and does his own things, and it's just kind of funny. But regardless, it's just more the idea of saying, stop worrying about making interconnected universes between the characters and make individual universes for prominent characters.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, so Umar has another comment. He said people think that WB is lazy with its property because they have all their characters. Marvel, on the other hand, had to focus all their power to make their C-level characters and villains awesome. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they brought in a lot of villains or characters rather, that I had no idea who they were, and they made them extremely cool. Like who's one that really comes to mind? Zemo. Like I had no idea who that character was, and they made him pretty cool. Like, I mean, the fact that he was able to infiltrate everything and like turn the Avengers against each other was pretty badass. Who else? I don't know. Yeah, like Marvel had some pretty top-notch villains. Some of them were weak in terms of like their motives, but they at least bring them to the forefront and make them more interesting than what's often depicted on the comic book. Because I didn't know a lot of these villains, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I kind of feel a little bit differently than what Umar is saying, but it's more that I don't think it's that WB is lazy. I think it's that they have no direction, and it's because they've had so many changing hands, and they, like, WB has treated DC like a cash situation and not actually caring about the craft of like what that universe is. It's like, oh, go get me a Batman film that's going to make me money, not a like what what story should we tell about Batman? Because
Yeah.
Batman's gonna make money, okay? Like the name Batman on a movie is going to bring enough people to it to probably make back your money, no matter
Yeah.
even no matter what. So
Mhm.
stop thinking about just make me a movie to make money. Think about what does it take to make a good story, and then worry about that money that comes in afterwards. But yeah, I feel like Marvel had people who are very focused on creating something, like Kevin Feige
Yeah.
from the beginning, and because there was that vision and that desire, and also that friction of not having all the options available
Yeah.
to you, that made him more creative and more pushing. Whereas I just don't think that DC and WB have had any like desire to do that, because they've just wanted to, they treat it very differently. So
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. So Nudge, excuse me, saying, you guys haven't peeped the new announcement character this past hour in World's Finest yet. I'm assuming you're referring to a comic book. I'm not up on my comic book shit, so I have no idea. But I trust
neither.
you. I trust you. Okay, so I guess let's move on. We've already determined that Gotham Knights is probably gonna be some old bullshit. So nothing more needs to be
to the point that we're just talking about other DC related.
Yeah. Okay, so in other news, the trailer for She-Hulk recently just dropped, and there's a lot of mixed reviews in regards to the trailer itself. A lot of people are really enjoying the tone of the trailer, and I think the main complaint is the shoddy CGI from She-Hulk being the main character of the TV series. So I was one of those people where I was kind of just looking at it. I'm like, is it just me, or does it seem a little off? Like she's not even in these scenes. Like it's like they shot all of this on a green screen. Ironically, but it probably
had to shoot on a blue screen.
Blue screen, yeah. But what did you think of the trailer overall?
Heavy meh.
Yeah.
I look at this picture right now, it's killing me, because it's like Mark Ruffalo's, like, obviously they've had time and money put behind the CGI of his characters. So like the CGI model, the process for doing it, it's already figured out. She, on the other hand, just looks sick. Like, yeah. I mean, physically ill. She just looks like someone came in and put paint on a chick. And then the one in the middle looks like remember the bad Hulk movie that Umar loves so much? It looks like it looks like the CGI from that. Yeah. Where it's just like, why is she so green? And the picture of her jumping like that, I don't know. Like the tone of it, the whole thing just kind of feels like meh. Like I'm hoping that it comes out, or like I need a villain drop trailer and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But right now it just looks like, oh, the struggles of being a green, super powerful girl as a lawyer, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like it's just like there's nothing about this that is gripping me right now. And wow, I didn't pick up on how bad the CGI was before, probably because I was metting it through the whole trailer and kind of like multitasking. Yeah. But wow, she just looks like, just dropped in there. Just
like it doesn't look real. Like the lighting is off, and I don't know what happened there, man. But I think part of it might have been the fact that they, like you said, like they've already kind of fleshed out Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. They have a solid template from that, and I know I'm sure a lot of money goes into refining that and making it as pristine and as accurate as they can, because they also want to make it. They want to keep the same template that they've been using throughout the movies. But I think at the expense of, like, they probably used up a lot of their budget money into Mark Ruffalo, because they can't alter or change anything or skimp on his CGI, because then it's going to look completely off. And it's like, wait, why does Hulk look different? Versus, I guess there's a lot more leeway with She-Hulk, even though she is the main character. I mean, ideally you want your main character to look solid, but I'm hoping that they can kind of fix this. but I know TV budget is vastly different than movie budget, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But yeah, just it's a little distracting. I'm sure maybe I'll get used to it as I start to watch more episodes, but
My feeling is this also may have suffered a COVID issue. So like to get good CGI that really looks like it's part of the scene, it comes down to the filming technique and how you go about filming for the thing that you're going to put CGI into. It's one thing to like replace an entire background, right? You just put a
yeah,
big green screen up, you have a strong line, and you just put a background, and because it's a background, you just need to light it to a certain degree. You're not really like the human brain isn't going, oh, that leaf in the background doesn't quite feel exactly like the right black level. Like it's just not, no one thinking that. But skin tones and eyes and lips and teeth, like we're very attuned to what our expectations of them are, right? And so it could have been a problem here in which they filmed during COVID and then had to refilm things and then didn't get the right people in and all that kind of stuff, to the point that like maybe some of these shots she's not actually on set, or they didn't have the right things, or they didn't prepare the right stuff for how to film it, and then it ended up literally having to place a character in to a scene that just they have no lighting reference, and therefore they end up with just something that looks completely off. And then they'll have other scenes that will look completely on, and they're the original filming before COVID broke out or something. So it could be a suffering from that, but yeah, it's just I'm hoping that there's a really good villain, and I'm also hoping that something Umar said here. He had a comment where he's saying, like, hopefully they can fix the CGI. It looks really dated, but I'm going to skip to this last part. I also think Matt Murdock is going to show up in this series, which makes a lot of sense. They're both lawyers, right?
Yeah.
In the same area. So I'm that like Matt Murdock could give me a lot of excitement to watch this, and showing me a decent villain could give me excitement. But I'm just hoping that it's not going to just be like girl troubles with superpowers, and I'm just like, what is the draw to this show? So.
Yeah. In regards to what you said about the CGI, though, I agree with you on that, because I feel in some of the scenes the CGI didn't look bad, especially with She-Hulk, but majority of it looks like trash. Collider is gonna rip this shit to pieces when that episode comes out. So I'm gonna be putting the bell notification on for that one, because this is not good. But
man, I'm just googling pictures right now and like seeing them in still format. Like,
bro, it's bad.
Oh, did you that one? That was the one I just googled.
It's bad, bro. It's really bad.
Wow, this right here looks like a cutscene from like a PS2.
Facts.
It's like, when did the PlayStation get like an iPhone 12?
Right?
Holy, wow, that is wretched.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I kind of share the same sentiment. I feel like if we do get Daredevil or Matt Murdock to show up in the show, I think that'll be interesting. I don't think they'll utilize him all that much, because I mean, there is it's not even a rumor. I think it's an announcement now at this point that he is getting his own show. So maybe this is a way of shoehorning him in and kind of reintroducing him, even though he kind of was introduced again in No Way Home, but kind of introducing him in a new TV setting to kind of set him up, similar to how they did with the CW, where they always did it with Arrow and the Flash, where the Flash showed up on Arrow, and then he got his own TV series. Maybe they're going to kind of try and shoehorn him in to this, establish him as a lawyer, even though we already know that he's a lawyer, and then from there he branches off and gets his own show. Because I think with the Daredevil series now, I'm sure they're going to have to change the tone, because it's not going to be on the same level as the Netflix show, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I just need my Wonders, man. I need my Wonder fights. You can't get rid of that. Is like that is a staple.
The staple, 100%.
Like if they don't have that, the complaints are going to be like, okay, I'm sorry, like we could change the tone all we want, but the man still has to fight. All these characters have to fight, so give us our Wonders.
I do hope. I know we're talking about She-Hulk, but to stick to Daredevil for a second, I do hope that we do kind of get a loose continuation from where they left off in season 3 with Bullseye. I want to see an introduction of Bullseye and have them fight with Bullseye in the suit and everything. Like, I doubt we'll have that, but
I mean, I would be totally game for that to be like hit the first season of it is focused on that same actor, just let me change it up a little bit or something. Because I feel like you can get away with giving a light explanation, but then not having to explain everything. Kind of like we expected you to watch WandaVision before you went and see Doctor Strange too. But like maybe not that loose, but just enough to be like, hey, if you've watched the last shows, you will have felt more in what you're seeing. But if you haven't watched the other shows before, well, here's enough information for you to get why these characters are here, right? Like I feel like you can kind of get away with that because you got Kingpin, you got Daredevil, the same actors. You can just keep bringing back the other actors. And I saw a picture recently of Mike Coulter with the actress of Jessica Jones. There was like a picture they posted on social media of them hanging out, and I was just like, "Yo,
so you think he might come back?"
Yeah, and we didn't see Fish Boy, so we good. I can't remember his full name, but that's what I'm calling him right now, Fish Boy. I feel like Fitcher or Fisher or something. I don't know.
Finn Jones.
Finn Jones.
Yeah. You're close.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah. Fish Boy works.
Yeah. You know, as long as he doesn't show up, like again, like I've said this, the guy from Mortal Kombat who played the drunken like
that's
Kung Fu
so
master.
Crazy.
Can just give him the job, let him slide on in there, and we will be like, that's the guy I knew the whole time. 100%. Also, Umar agrees with Fish Boy is more appropriate.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I don't know where my excitement level is on this show yet. The lawyer aspect is kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious about that. Aside from that, I haven't seen any I don't really like what they did with John Campea said something, and I never really gave it any thought until he mentioned it. But the way that they kind of neutered the Hulk, and they turned him like how he's now Professor Hulk, and he's not actually the raging monster that we're used to. John Campea hates that because that's not the Hulk that we grew up to love, right? Like we want the dichotomy between Bruce Banner and the Hulk and that struggle, right? So it's kind of strange that they're both kind of smart now. Like, so it's Professor Hulk and then She-Hulk, and they both have the like conscious control over their Hulk status. So that's a little bit of a letdown. But aside from that, I feel like this could be a fun show, like Umar said. It looks fun. I don't know where it is in terms of the action level yet, because I haven't really. I saw a glimpse of potentially a villain. I don't know. She looked very kind of threatening, so who knows? And then there was like some frog looking or some Power Ranger looking motherfucker.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch the trailer. Like, actually pay attention this time. But just gives you my. One thing that you said though is I kind of feel like the Hulk will eventually turn into another version of the Hulk. I don't think he's going to stay the Professor Hulk forever. Just kind of where my gut is. I can't stand this shot. I just don't like it. There's just everything about this feels like female version of Lou Ferrigno. Like I can't stand it. Which it probably is a throwback to Lou Ferrigno because the whole outfit is like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk. But I don't like Lou Ferrigno. I watched him on The Apprentice, like Donald Trump's Apprentice years ago, before we all knew who Donald Trump really was. Yeah. And I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Tatiana is going to be the villain of the show. Who? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be you need to educate us and prove to us.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is. So, yeah. But yeah, it looks fun. I'll check it out, see how it is, and then decide from there. I mean, the expectations for these shows now are so high because we've gotten such solid content and solid movies over the years that I feel like not like it's almost like we're kind of desensitized to the spectacle of a lot of these shows now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I hear you, and I'm just looking. I mean, like I'll watch it. I'm not gonna not watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
unless I get in there and the whole first episode is just like I don't know, first grade or first year CGI student level quality, and I just can't stand it. But I mean, I'll watch it like every other Marvel thing because at minimum I need to know what it brings to the universe so that I can
Yeah.
stay on top of the next movie, the next next show or whatever. I would have hated. We have a niece and nephew who's staying with us, and he wanted to go with his friends, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're gonna go see Doctor Strange too." So he goes and he's going to see it, and he's like, "I'm like, have you seen WandaVision?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "All right, let me tell you what happened in WandaVision." Because I'm like, "You're totally screwed going into that movie." He's like,
man.
"Well," it's like, "Okay, last time you saw Wanda, she was fighting Thor." Or not Thor, Thanos. She was fighting Thanos, and now she's fighting Doctor Strange. No explanation as to why.
Yeah, he's gonna confuse the shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Okay, well, I guess we're moving on to the next topic. So, I think it was you that put us on to this next thing that we're about to talk about, and that is this new fan made short film called Batman Broken Promises. Now, we recently just checked it out. I recently checked it out. I think it was last week with Umar, and man, you weren't kidding, bro. This fan made, like, I'm often very skeptical when it comes to fan made films because they often come off very cheap. Like,
Yeah,
they do their best to stick to the source material, and I appreciate that because when it comes to the storyline, they're usually pretty bang on. It's just the production quality isn't really
yeah.
all that. It's not there, and it looks very cheap, and so it pulls me out of the universe altogether. But this, considering that it was like an animated fan made film, was fantastic. Fucking
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Now, I don't know how long it's going to be on YouTube because I don't know if this guy got the rights to do this.
Certainly does not. At the very beginning, it's like no association.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, then you probably want to do so quickly before this gets ripped off or gets removed from YouTube. But
I mean, there is lots of fan made Batman stuff that has been up for years and years and years, like
yeah,
live action stuff, even like animated stuff.
yeah,
I feel like it should not in any possible way get taken down. I think that hurts DC more, right?
for
To be
sure. Yeah.
like to take it down.
Mhm.
Now, no, you could be the legally speaking, this guy could lose all of his monetization and it all go to WB if you
Mhm.
monetize the video, which I mean, I feel bad for the guy in that scenario. However, I could understand, keep it up and lose the money versus not have it up at all. But
I mean, I don't know if he can monetize this though, because he doesn't technically own the rights to the character. I mean, he did the.
see, that's where it's weird, right?
It's a
Because
gray area. Yeah.
he created the content, therefore it is his original content. However, it is based off of things that are not of his ownership. So that's where it's like for me, it's like kind of like doing a cover song on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Mhm.
And when you do cover songs, you lose the monetization, but your video can
Mhm.
stay up and that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, to that degree, I feel like it'll stay up, and I just don't know if the guy will make money off of it. But
Probably not, but yeah.
not directly. However,
Yeah.
there's Patreon, all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, getting away from the guy's money, going back to the to the movie itself. For yeah, so I was the one who brought it to the crew, but I want Tactix. Like, what did you love about it?
So first and foremost, I love the subtle references. Like he made a lot of nods to the original animated series. Like there were subtle references that I caught on to that I really appreciated, and you could tell right away. Like this guy, he did his homework and he's a fan. But also the simplicity of the storyline. Like it's dark, it's gritty. The fight choreography was phenomenal. Like it feels like a Batman property. Like the way that he makes Batman move and fight, and just the tone of the film was fantastic. And I don't know much about the other villain, the ventriloquist. Um, and I always kind of like I remember him here and there from like the animated series and stuff, but I never really paid close attention to him because I always kind of thought of him as like a kind of a whack character. But in this, it makes it. I'm kind of like, yo, I wouldn't mind seeing like a live action iteration of this character. And then I love what they did with Two Face, obviously. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic film, man. Like again, I'm always hesitant when it comes to fan made trailers. So when you put it in the chat, I was like, I'm not in a rush to watch this right now. But then Umar was like insistent. He wouldn't leave my house until I watched it. So he put it on and then we watched it and I was like, okay, this hits. I rate this.
Yeah, when I first heard of this, Tyrone Magnus, for those who are fans of him on YouTube, so he was like doing a reaction, like live watching kind of video.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I click it, and then I watched like literally like 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. And just like, I'm going to the original video now. I'm not watching it through Tyrone. No offense, but I wanted to put all my views to the creator because I could tell.
Of course.
This is. Where it will basically be like just like pictures from a comic. So I thought it was going to be like that at first. But like, no, it's fully animated. It's totally pulling from the Batman animated series, like just killing it that way. The Puppet Master, I would love to see Matt Reeves pull him in, like, because he's like, I loved the ventriloquist. Yeah, thank you. That's probably one. I know the Puppet Master is the right one. The ventriloquist. I love the ventriloquist in the Batman anime series, but seeing him in this was just a whole other level. Harvey Dent was on another level. I feel like this is the best Harvey Dent I've / Two-Face I've ever seen. Just it really just there was a scene at the end where it comes down to the coin, and it's ingenious how Batman is prepared for it and banks on that plan, but how much Two-Face's conviction is solely around the coin, where like I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it's just a moment in where it comes down to a decision on the coin toss, and everything is so intense, and when the coin goes a certain way, he reacts a certain way, and you're like, wow, that it made at the same time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, yeah, it was phenomenal. Like you said something about in the beginning where you thought it was going to be like one of those like picture type of animations, and so when I first, like when you put it into the chat, I caught like a little snippet of it, and I thought it was going to be similar to. Did you ever watch it was the Black Panther? I think it was a Black Panther animated.
Yeah. Which that's actually a really good animation.
It was, but it's just like for me, I was just like I have a hard time watching the still images.
Yeah,
the
I agree.
Still image animation because they did another one I think with Tony Stark and when he gets infected by extremists, and it was the same picture in picture or the still image type of animation. That one was really good too, but it kind of takes me out of it a little bit. I like animation style like this, and this had a very unique animation style to it as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hope he continues this. I hope he does more stories, maybe from different universes, maybe do a Superman one. And then who knows, maybe he might get better work and start someone might hire him from WB or whatever. I mean, that's wishful thinking, but who knows what'll happen. I think we need more fans attached to these properties and like getting into these getting involved in writing these stories, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this guy made a movie that's better than most stuff that DC's put out for a long while. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm excited to see more from what this guy's got to do, and it's just been phenomenal.
yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, I hope he does some more stuff because this was great. But okay, I guess we're moving on. So our final topic, that is, if you want to cover it, since Umar is not here in video form for us to really talk about this, but we saw Doctor Strange. What was it? 2 weeks ago now, and again, another divisive movie. Like a lot of people were mixed on it. So I'm actually curious. I kind of know, like, we already kind of did like a quick car review, like straight out of the movie theater about it. But what did you think overall? Now that we can kind of talk about it and add some spoilers into the mix. So, what did you think of the movie? How did you enjoy it? What were some issues that you had with it?
It was a fun ride, but it lacked the depth it needed. It didn't. I feel like as a movie, it definitely didn't flush out why the fuck Wanda was went bad.
Mm-hmm.
It waited, even though we'd seen WandaVision, I feel like it still didn't give me enough, right? Like I feel like I needed more showing, less implicit telling, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak,
Mm-hmm.
of a situation. And as much as it was a fun ride, I feel like it just didn't have the depth that it could have had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it was like CGI wise and like action wise, it had lots of depths, lots of layers, did lots of things that most films couldn't even come close to doing and keep as cohesive as it did. But it sacrificed or lacked in story and depth of emotion. And it was also like it was too quick in how it killed off everybody in the Illuminati. Like I just yeah, you it's like she got so freaking powerful that
Mm-hmm.
like those characters were like useless, and I'm like they were very similar to the Avengers. So you're just saying she just wipe out the Avengers like that easily, right? Then so Doctor Strange is like overpowering the rest of the Avengers by this much degree, and that might be a case, but it just felt like it was a fight without a fight. Like it was just like give me more of a battle that she was going up against and show
Mm-hmm.
how powerful she was. She just felt like five idiots who were facing off, and the smartest person was Captain Britain, and she was the weakest. Like she was the
Mm-hmm.
best fighter as she should have been, but like that was like I don't know, going to a bringing a knife to a bazooka fight. Like it was just like we all know she ain't gonna win. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're like I don't even believe she has a chance because
Mm-hmm.
look how she just took out like super powerful people. You didn't even show off like Mr. Fantastic's actual power, and like you just sorry, I'm getting annoyed. That fight actually pissed me off a bit at the more I think about it, because it's just like I'm like what like just you did nothing with it. Like you just like I you should have let Black Bolt actually scream at her and show her overpower Black Bolt, and then and Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic doing something cool to try to hold her down, and she overpowers them, and then you're like, holy crap! Versus just like Mr. Fantastic, the most intelligent man in the world, gives away their bazooka blast's weakness in 1 second. Like it's just
I
like
guess he wasn't that smart.
it was like not a good day to show up and do something dumb. Um, we can take her, no problem. Like, well, then don't fucking go. Is this how you fight people in your universe? Hey, Mr. Villain, my powers are this, and this is why I'm going to overpower you. No one's ever thought to just use that against you. Like, anyways, it was a fun ride, but it needed something emotional and in depth into this film to make it a better film. If they literally spent, I feel like they cut some stuff, obviously, as all movies do, but I feel like if they had kept a few things in, let the beginning of the movie explain more as to why she's where she's at, show us a continuation of what happened out of WandaVision to show a little bit more of like the mental state that she's been in and why she was faking that whole forest that she had killed off, like just showing that state that she's in and making you feel it. And then, maybe me feeling more about what's the new superhero that's brought in? Oh my gosh, here I
America
am.
Chavez.
Yeah, America Chavez, like
Yeah.
giving us a little bit more of America Chavez, and then maybe feeling the weight of the two of them against each other,
Mm-hmm.
and and how Doctor Strange is in the middle of that. I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
would have been more powerful if I felt the weight of how I put this. The two female characters in the film didn't have a whole lot of depth. And yes, it is about Doctor Strange, but I feel like if I'd felt more weight of these two female characters, then it would have made every decision that Doctor Strange made even more powerful by the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like I'm lacking there. So it was a fun ride. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely, I got my popcorn worth, but I was expecting a little bit more, and I should have gotten a little bit more weight. So that's how I feel. Sorry, I got a little heated there. I'm channeling a little bit of Umar right now.
Making up for his absence. I get it.
Yeah,
Well, speaking of
absolutely.
Umar, he was very vocal about his opinion of the movie, and he further illustrates that here when he says, "My main issue with this movie was the fact that it character assassinated Wanda's characterization. It undid all of the great work of WandaVision and sacrificed depth for action and scary moments." Okay. And he continues on by saying Doctor Strange 2 was a very Sam Raimi film. It is like a niche style of filmmaking that was fun to watch and had great visuals, but Raimi isn't known for his depth. Interesting.
Hold on, I got something to say.
Yeah.
Just to get Umar riled up in the comments. So are we basically saying that Sam Raimi is the Zack Snyder of the Marvel universe? All right, we can move on. I'm just gonna wait for his comment.
Oh man. Um I don't know, man. Like, I was kind of surprised that, like, well, for one, my cousin was very vocal of his disdain for this movie, which I was shocked by. I mean, I can understand Umar's his opinions regarding the film. I personally don't share in that sentiment, as I felt as though Wanda. I felt like they kind of already they set up Wanda for being a villain at the end of WandaVision anyway, with the whole, like, I mean, we had already seen her playing with the book of whatever it was, the book of Ashanti, or
Yeah.
whatever it was that she was
Yeah,
messing around with.
it's Vishanti, but every time I've heard it until I saw it read once, I was like,
Oh, is it Vashanti?
Vishanti, but I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
the book of Ashanti? And I'm like, and all I could think of every time I heard that is like, Jaru.
Baby.
It's like, oh, that takes me out the film.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I felt like I felt like they were kind of like, her story from at the end of WandaVision wasn't quite done, and we were going to be getting more. But at the same token, I agree with you what you said, Darcy, about how, like, I don't know if you just said it just a while ago, but I know you mentioned it right out of the theater, where everything kind of just happens fast. Like, we're like maybe 20 minutes into the movie, and she just suddenly becomes the villain. Like, there is no build up to it, even though, like, they definitely alluded to the fact that she was going to become some sort of a force in Doctor Strange too. But yeah, it was a little bit jarring for me to see that. It was like, oh, okay, I guess we're already here, and she's already evil, and she just flipped the switch like it was nothing. So that was kind of a little bit strange. But bypassing that, I enjoyed the film for what it was. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be super in depth, and I'm not a huge fan of Doctor Strange. I mean, I love the first movie, but mainly because of the spiritual aspects of it, and what that whole thing went into. But aside from that, I have no backstory in regards to, or any kind of reference point of who Doctor Strange is, what he does, and how he play or how he fits into the Marvel universe, whatever, right? So I kind of went in was just like you. I just want a good popcorn film, and that's kind of what I got, you know. What I will say though is I think they need to change this. I mean, it's too late now, but I don't think this was the right title for it. Multiverse of Madness. There was no multiverse. They were there for like they passed through it for like 2 minutes, and then the rest of the time they're in one universe. Like everything, everywhere, all at once had more multiverse of madness than this movie. This should have been like the madness of Wanda or something like that, because that's pretty much what we got, which was fantastic. Because I gotta say, I know Umar is not a fan of like horror movies and things like that, and Sam Raimi. I wouldn't say I'm an avid fan of Sam Raimi. I mean, I love what he did with Spider-Man at the time. I saw a couple of the Evil Dead movies, and like at the time, I enjoyed them for what they were. He does definitely have a very unique style, and to see that play out in like a Marvel movie where they did like the horror aspect of it, because I know they try to like Marvel is always trying to like create these genre type films within their movies, right? Like so like you could argue that Ant-Man is a heist film, and Winter Soldier is like a political thriller. This would be considered like a horror, like a Marvel superhero horror film, right? And that's exactly what we got. And Wanda being kind of like a zombie, like, or like a Freddy Krueger or a Jason type chasing after them. Like that scene, I don't care what anyone says, that scene was great. It didn't make a whole lot of sense considering she was injured, but I loved it. I loved it for what it was. It was fun. I love her, like how she came out of like the water puddle and she was all contorted and shit like that. That like the visuals, the spectacle of it was great. It was entertaining. I loved seeing it. I loved the jump scares. It was dope. Uh, I didn't, because I have no idea who the Illuminati are. I have no, like, I know of the Illuminati in our real world. Like I know they're a thing, but in terms of the Marvel universe, I have no idea who the members are or what they do or why they're significant. So when they all got killed off, I know a lot of people like took it to heart and were very emotional and heartbroken about it. Like, I can't believe you guys just did that to the Illuminati. I was just kind of like, yo, this man got his lips sealed and blew his own head off. Like that I was not expecting that. Like I was audible at that scene. I was like, oh shit. Like, because I was not expecting Marvel to go there, and they fucking went there. So I loved it. I fucking loved it. And what they did with Captain Carter, they just sliced her in half. I was like, oh shit, this shit is getting real.
Yeah, I was watching that scene. I was like, I think I leaned over to somebody, and I think it was Umar or whatever. And I was like, wow, this version of Marvel hit different.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, yo, they're going there. I'm surprised this isn't rated R, because yo, you couldn't take a kid to see this shit. So yeah. I was shocked by what I got, but I mean, all in all, I enjoyed it. I agree. There wasn't a whole lot of depth to it, but I wasn't expecting it to be. And again, it goes back to what we were saying. I think we're spoiled by all the great movies that we've gotten so far, that like we have super high expectations. And let's be real, not all of these movies that come out are going to hit. They're not going to be like after Endgame, like how do you like it's going to take a fucking genius to surpass the Endgame and Infinity War type of level that we got, right? Like not like I don't like it's going to be a while before anything comes close to that. And so I think we kind of have to lower our expectations, bring it back down to like first Avengers level, and then just kind of take it from there, right? Because the only thing that came close to was like No Way Home, and No Way Home was on the backs of nostalgia that really brought it to the end game type of level. Outside of that, I don't know if No Way Home would have hit as well as it did. You know what I mean? So
as you're writing like the No Way Home, Umar dropped in the comments, No Way Home reached that level.
No, it did, but again, it was relying on the backs of nostalgia. There was a whole lot of nostalgia and fan
Oh, yeah.
service, which accelerated it to that level. If we didn't have Andrew Garfield and all like everyone, like Green Goblin, all of those guys, if they didn't come back and they just kind of decided to do a different storyline and bring in Scorpion or something like that, it wouldn't have done Endgame level numbers. No way. There's no way. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but no.
I mean, once you say we're gonna bring all three Spider-Man together, or a rumor of it, the thing will sell out.
100%.
Though, if they didn't bring all of them together after that first week, it would have died.
Yeah. But the final thing I want to say, well, two things. One thing I didn't like, and I'm starting to hate this about the end credit scenes, is when they give us bullshit end credit scenes at the very end. Like that end credit scene with Bruce Campbell, like having to sit through all those credits just to see that, it was kind of like I guess if you're a fan of Sam Raimi and like it's great to see that and it's a nice gag, but I would have rather you put that first and then give us the other end credit scene after that. But it is what it is. But the second thing is, I remember when I think it was Age of Ultron, when we first got introduced to Wanda, played by Elizabeth Olsen. And I remember everyone was like, "Wait, who is that?" That's the Olsen twins' sister. Now, bro, Olsen twins, who? Like, this girl fucking killed it. Say what you will about how they wrote the character, her portrayal in this movie was fucking phenomenal. Like, this is by far the best we've seen Wanda. I know, Umar, you love WandaVision and whatnot, and yeah, she was great in that, even though I wasn't a big fan of WandaVision. But this, what she did for what she gave us, man, I'm super impressed. Super impressed. Like, she deserves all the props for what she did in this. She outshone Doctor Strange in this, to be honest. Like, she stole the show. And that's what I love about villains, when they steal the show, not when they are the show.
I mean, yeah, what she brought, what she had to bring, 100%. I just feel like going into this movie, it was like the way it was edited, how she was introduced to being the villain, it 100% just felt like it expected you just finish watching the WandaVision marathon and then walk into this movie.
Yeah.
And you can't expect that of 95% of the people watching this film. Even all of us who've seen WandaVision watched it when it came out. We're not all watching it right before we walk in the movie theater, like day of, like it, without that, it lacked the depth. And I feel like we're gonna get like not the director's cut, but like they'll release deleted scenes and then somebody will go and comp it together and then you'll watch it with that and you'll be like, okay, here's the 4 minutes that we needed at the beginning of the film to make Wanda feel way more like just what happened between WandaVision and the beginning of this film. Just watching her be in that cycle state that gives her the motive to say, I'm going into the multiverse, versus just being like, Vision had his theories and I'm now doing it, just didn't really tie that thing together. But by the way, Umar sent a correction of something he said earlier. Darkhold was the bad book and the Book of Vishanti was the good book. Ja Rule.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, not a great film, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I still hold by my 7.5.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna stay there too. It's just it hurts a little bit just because they're on the cusp of it, and my feeling is, my gut tells me that they filmed it and they cut it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm like, how long was this film again? Like,
just under 2 hours, or maybe 2 hours. No longer than that.
Like, if this movie pushed 2:15, I think like anywhere between like 2 to 2:15, this film probably would have been properly flushed out. Like, you know what I mean? Like 2:10 probably be the max you need to go. Like, and in that, like 10 to 12 minutes could have been everything that would have made this, given all the weight to the female cast in this film, that really could have just, again, like I'm saying, like Doctor Strange's decisions in this film would have had more weight to them. Why this version of Doctor Strange is less cutthroat than the others would have been felt deeper if we felt the emotions for all the females in this film. So I just feel like they dropped the ball a little bit, and it was like, oh, it's so good, but it could have been a 9. It could have been a solid 9 with just a little bit more, and that's where I'm just like, I just wish I got that, and I would love to see a re-edited version with what I'm assuming are deleted scenes that actually exist.
Yeah, I wonder if we're ever gonna see. I don't know if I'm butchering his name, Mordo, again. Like I know we saw him in this movie, but at the end of Doctor Strange, at the end credit scene, he was going around and stripping wizards or wizards or are they wizards? They're wizards, right? Sorcerers or sorcerers or whatever, right? Stripping them of their magic. And I always thought that there was going to be some kind of a showdown with him and Doctor Strange, and we kind of got it in this, but it was a different Mordo, and I feel like they did the same thing with Scorpion, where they set up Scorpion in Homecoming for Spider-Man, and still to this day haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, I feel like we would, but I'm also starting to feel like I'm getting over that character at this point. Like
Mordo or Scorpion?
Mordo. I just kind of feel like it's kind of like small, like I feel like the Doctor Strange has expanded so wide into the universe that I feel like that's like bringing the story back to a small pace. However, sometimes a simpler story is a better story, so there still could be validity there. I just feel like it would have to be a really well done film focus between these two villains, and like a really like just something really smart, because it's like, this man fought Thanos, and you don't want to feel like it's just a couple of like sorcerers, just like just, we already got that with Mad Milkinson. We don't want a repetition, of the same feeling.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, at the same time, like, because they fought Thanos in like an Avengers movie where all the heroes have to come together to stop a bigger threat, but when it's like just a hero on his own, like they need like the lower tier level villains to fight against too, right? Like not everything has to be like a universal threat, right? It can be like a friendly, you're like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, right? You're just defending your neighborhood,
Umar just made a call out. Can we talk about how awesome Wong is? I mean, can we also get the spin-off Wong properties? Like that's what I need right there. I ever since I seen that meme of Wong and Peter Parker's best friend, I can't remember.
Ned?
Ned, like Ned and Wong, like oh my gosh, like Ned and Wong
so good.
ventures through the multiverse. Oh, can you just imagine Ned going through like, or just like adventures around the planet, just like, oh my gosh, just the two of them doing stuff. Oh, that'd be just too dope. But Wong is amazing. He's killed it in every movie he's been in so far. And the shows, like I really would like to see him get more screen time in something. And it doesn't have to be I really feel like we should see him and do stuff outside of the Doctor Strange, like direct stuff. I feel like just him in the larger MCU would just be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a rumor, or maybe it's confirmed. I'm not up on my geek news, but I heard that he's going to be showing up at some point in She-Hulk, because in I think it was Shang-Chi, where he shows up and he's fighting Abomination, but they're like secretly working together, and then he transports Abomination back to the facility that he's imprisoned in, and that facility shows up in the trailer of She-Hulk. So I think Wong is set to make. Okay, Umar just confirmed it. Never mind. Wong will be in She-Hulk. All right. Well, that answers my question.
100%. And I mean, this is Why is everything that I'm most excited about now in She-Hulk not She-Hulk?
Yeah,
I feel bad about that.
yeah.
I'm like, I also feel bad. It's like in She-Hulk, all the characters I want to see, I'm most excited about are men, and then in
Mm.
Multiverse of Madness, all the characters I wanted to see more of are women. Like, why Marvel, are you doing this to me?
Oh man. Well, what's your opinion before we wrap things up? What's your opinion of how they depicted Wanda in this? Do you agree with my cousin and with Umar here about how they kind of pretty much destroyed what they set up for her in WandaVision?
I don't feel like it's a complete destruction because I feel like there was that setup that
Mm-hmm.
she was looking for her kids, and that though it wasn't like clear that she would become the villain, like if you didn't know Marvel
Yeah.
history, right? Like obviously you knew the Marvel lore, then you knew that what was going to happen. But like you kind of felt like obviously something bad was going to come of it. So I kind of feel like yeah, it was like going in that direction. I just didn't like how they executed that direction. Like they
Mm.
set it up, and then I just feel like they're like, okay, well, we set it up, so we don't have to explain anything, we don't do anything. We just, boom, she's this way. And I feel like they just needed more nuance to it. And it's like, now will she never be an Avenger again? Like I don't know, like I don't want her to like never be an Avenger again, but they also just kind of like made her a bad villain. They just made her a villain without being like, I don't know. It's like she's a villain. Boom, she's a villain, and like I don't know if she can be redeemed or not. She looked like she sacrificed herself at the end, but did she really? And there's another version of her in another multiverse, and what does that mean? Would she come in? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm lacking something in
Mm-hmm.
this depiction. She killed it with what she had to do, but I don't feel like they wrote it well enough that I'm like, I just kind of feel like cool, like thanks, you had this character all built up, and then you just kind of like meh. Like it's like it didn't. It's not like a shock that she became a villain. Like oh my god, where the hell that come from?
Yeah.
Completely, but it's just you didn't fully execute it.
I mean, but don't you see that a lot in like certain movies where like people are conflicted by the loss and the grief that they have to endure having lost, like whether it's a loved one or a sibling or something of that nature, where it drives them to madness in a sense. Like
Yeah, but I feel like it's almost like this is gonna be random, but like it's almost like the fridge woman thing, where it's just like, oh, a mother who loses like connection to her children in some way goes completely bad, and like yes, that's very logical that people will be devastated by that, but it's just kind of be like, oh, she's corrupted by the things that all women get corrupted by, and I don't just feel it just felt like you didn't give me enough depth into her pain for me to feel it, that you're just making me accept it on the fact that the strength that she's just a woman who lost her kids in the last show that weren't even real, and now she's so corrupted by it that she becomes a villain. It just
yeah,
feels like a
but
cheap
Vision,
way.
but Vision's not even real. I mean, technically,
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing is like if you don't explain the pain that somebody goes through, then you're just banking it on like tropes. And how many tropes have we gotten where like women go from good to bad because of something? And if a man went through the exact same situation, like it just wouldn't flip that fast, right? And so I don't know, it felt cheap. And I'm not saying it wasn't legitimate because we did have a setup, but
mm-hmm.
the movie in and of itself as its own property didn't spend enough time actually giving me more between the end of WandaVision and
Mm-hmm.
how she went full bad. At the end of WandaVision, I didn't feel like she was already full bad because she was remorseful for her actions, and she's like, I'm going to change my ways. And then, oh, end credit scene, she's doing the whole thing. And it was like that. I didn't get anything in between that. So how did she go from remorse? Like she just lied.
Yeah.
Then why didn't she just continue doing what she was doing at the end of the show and just continue taking over the towns and people? Like, why would you do the remorse to then just completely flip it, right? And then not explain it later.
So would it have made a difference if the kids actually were real and there was a stronger connection between her and her children? And then having them vanquished, or however, I can't remember exactly how it happened in WandaVision, but having them disappear and then her flipping as a result of that, like, would that have made more sense, or would it have kind of elicited the same feeling for you in terms of how they handled that situation?
So I was partly reading the comments there. So let me just double check here. Your question was that. Sorry, just rephrase it quickly again, because I know something I want to say, but I
so if the kids actually were real and we had established like a stronger bond between her and her children were more established, because I think the kids were only in three episodes, so there wasn't really a lot of time to flesh them out. So like, let's say that they were real and we had spent much more time with them, and there was a stronger connection, and then she had lost them, and then that was still her motive in Multiverse of Madness, for her to, try and get them back, and this was her only way. Would the feelings that you have now still stand true, or
no? I mean, given the execution of it, but like, if you spend more time fleshing out the emotional connection and I can feel the weight of the loss, then I can understand the response to it. Right? Like, but like there's a couple of things that were said here. So Umar was saying that the post-credit scene in WandaVision had her kids crying out for help, which is different than just saying, I want to go steal versions of my kid from a different universe, right? And he had said earlier in the comments, I'm just gonna find it here. He's like, he said, I would have had or I would have preferred Wanda choosing to save her children in another universe, causing an incursion because she lost her kids in this universe to save a town, but she won't lose them again. So that premise of like, I'm going to save another version of my kids because they were crying out for help, one makes more sense for her doing a villainous act from a hero. Like a hero doing a villainous act versus a hero becoming a villain, but without much explanation, right?
Gotcha.
Without, and that's the thing. And then Courtney had thrown the comment of like, wasn't too keen on the whole women can't have children goes hysterical angle, which that's a better way of phrasing what I've been trying to say. I like to call it the Daenerys effect, because you didn't watch Game of Thrones, but they built this whole character up to be like the savior of like dragons and the savior of like slaves and all this great stuff, and then at the end they're just like, yeah, we'll just make her go hysterical, like out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh my god, like you just spent like 6 seasons building her up to be like the savior, to just throw it away because a woman can't handle too much emotion and power at the same time, right? And it's my lord, like I'm like, she can, because she went through so much and you just trashed it, right? I just feel like if Wanda they had done more with like her going to save the kids, like what Umar said, I feel like that would have been way stronger. And I think that there could have been also something very interesting from America Chavez's perspective as well. Like, yeah, she had a really good statement at the end. It was fantastic. And she took a really good action, gave her what she wanted, and then made Wanda face herself. But, I feel like there could have been something also very interesting that they could have done with the two characters. But yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, I lost my kids. I must get them back, and I have the power to go steal them from another version of myself. I just feel that felt cheap and not strong like it should have.
Fair. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, any closing thoughts before we wrap up the show for the evening?
Yeah, I mean, just it was a good ride, but could have been a better film. I just hope there's another version of this, like that we get to see in the future. even if it's fan edited. I just hope that there's more. But I'm always hoping that WandaVision, or sorry, Wanda Maximoff still exists in the universe in some capacity, because I have no desire for Elizabeth Olsen to leave the MCU at this point. So, and it doesn't feel like she's gonna leave, but if it is her end, I'll be a little bit sad that that was the last thing we see her in.
I think in the beginning of her career, she recently said in an interview that she was very vocal about how she felt. I can't think of the word exactly, but she was a little disappointed at the large commitment that she had to make over the course of however many years she was involved in the MCU. That she had to pass down a lot of really good opportunities movie wise because of her contractual obligations. And so, I mean, I know that's why a lot of actors are very apprehensive about signing on to the MCU, because there is such a lengthy commitment. And, sometimes, if you want to do other things, or if you want to start a family, for example, or whatever the case may be, then you're kind of at the mercy of whatever your contract kind of has out for you. Right. So you might be signing on for like 3 films that are going to take a span of 10 years to do, right? So that's 10 years of your life gone and committed to this one thing. And so some people enjoy it. I mean, Chris Hemsworth seems like he's signed on for an additional couple years of being Thor. But I think at this point, a lot of people are kind of just, a lot of the actors like Chris Evans, he jumped ship. I think he just wants to do other things now. So
yeah, I mean, I know the contracts have gotten lesser intense in the last few years for them, and a lot of those times it's like they can do other properties, but it just also depends on scheduling, and if the scheduling conflicts, that's where it becomes a problem. So
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if they have any other stories for her at this point. I mean, I don't really know where else they could go. I mean, I guess they could do the whole No More Mutants thing. I don't know too much about that per se, but they haven't even introduced any of the mutants. So
yeah, I mean, I just kind of hope that the other version of her that we saw does something that causes something. I don't necessarily want the No More Mutants, but maybe the creation of mutants, like she ends up creating them in some capacity.
yeah,
But regardless, I just feel like if this is her send off, it didn't feel like it was complete, and I will have always felt like they kind of didn't do it right at in the final stage. So
yeah, I kind of agree with that. Now that you said that, like every Avenger had a good send off. Captain America, Iron Man had a beautiful send off. Thor isn't quite done yet, so and Hulk is still kind of present.
yeah,
So
like Black Widow, but like this would just be like, and she's out, just like,
yeah.
all right, peace.
Well, they killed off Black Widow, so I mean, like she didn't really.
But there was emotion to it. Like we all
Yeah,
we all didn't want it to happen.
yeah,
But there was a whole thing about it, and whatnot, and they've talked about it since. And of course, they can talk about her passing, but I kind of feel like nobody will know. You know what I mean? Like the rest of the people won't really even know what happened. And just be like, okay, cool.
yeah,
She's gone. Like I feel like literally the way if this is her end, right? Literally, it would be like someone at one point would just be like, "Yo, where's Wanda?"
yeah,
and then be like, exchange, like, "Oh, I had to kill her." It'd be like, "What?" It's like, wait, what? Like, it's just like it feels like this is not like it's done right,
Yeah. Like I wonder how the Avengers even work though. Like because they have that built the Avengers Tower, the building or whatever. But like, are they all like? Do they have like set hours where they go in and like
Man,
like
They don't work, as we established in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They can't even get credit, okay?
Yeah, like I know because like Justice League has the Watchtower, and it seems like it's like a 9 to 5 job for them. Like people are just chilling in the tower, like every scene that you see them in, like they're always like doing. There's always someone in the background doing something. Like
Man.
it's like But
some of
the
my
Avengers.
stuff on that watchtower is just watching people like walk with like their cafeteria trays.
Yeah, bro. It's like a regular day job for them, yo. It's just like, yeah, I'm up in space, doing my 9 to 5, and then I go home and fight some crime in my city, and then I go to sleep.
Yo, it's like a like firehouse where it's like guys are like just all in full costume. It's like, what you doing?
Yeah.
I flew through Shanghai. I was saving some people into a car accident. I was just
Yeah.
doing what you do. Just like walking. I was like, oh, what you got over there? Oh, it's meatball special.
Yeah,
Man, it's Tuesday.
yeah,
It's
man.
just like so chill, so
Oh
random.
man. That's why
Yeah,
we need more Justice League, man.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I just will we ever get good Justice League? No.
I still have hope. I feel like if they set a good track record with the Batman, and then eventually we get a new Superman movie that's really good, then
You can't connect Matt Reeves the Batman to a Justice League. It's just it wouldn't work. Like you can do the whole Batman and all of the Robins and everything like that, but and you could pull some characters that are grounded and make like a little kind of like fun thing or pull something from the comics, but you can't go Justice League level. Like you just can't have Superman in that world. Like, I mean, maybe he'll grow it enough, he'll get to his trilogy, and maybe we'll be able to be like grow it, but and we'll see a different light at that point. But I feel like you got to at least get to the trilogy first.
Yeah, I want to. I'm reserving judgment until I see how he fleshes out all of his villains, because his choice to add in Mr. Freeze as his next villain in the sequel is intriguing, because it's like for the tone that he set up, I never thought that Mr. Freeze would be his go-to. So I'm actually curious, and if you can kind of make that grounded, then maybe there's potential hope for a Justice League with a serious tone. It's a tall order, but
yeah, I mean, I'm still holding out for Mr. Camera. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
I'm still sold on that storyline.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll end on that note. All right. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in. And if you're tuning in at a later time, we want to thank you once again for checking out our show. Hopefully you're subscribed. If not, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll see you on the next show. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And we are out.